All right, we have just started recording. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
So, hello, Mia. As always, thank you
Hi.
again for doing this.
You're welcome.
We'll be talking about cats, which I've had like an increasing level of guilt for
Dude,
for suggesting.
I think you owe me money. I don't know why, but I think that you owe me something because I want to say I have no words, but I have words.
I'm very glad to hear that. We so you are the first, not counting Leela, the first return guest, and very awesome, very awesome.
And the
And
most viewed guest.
by a large margin, as in like we got like normal views, which of we got like James's, which is like right up here, which is I
Yeah.
think because my mom probably watches it on repeat, and then everybody else sort of right here, and then we have our Mia spike.
And it's not because it's good. I think it's because I just shared it and I apparently underestimated how bored people get during quarantine because I was like, "Oh, if you have nothing else to watch, this is something." And I was totally joking, but apparently literally 75 people had nothing better to do with their lives than which
It's
is great.
great. It
It's
is.
really
It's
great.
amazing, and I
It
would
was
say
so funny.
don't underestimate it. I've even listened to it again. And I was like, man, that's a good one.
Pretty
Mia and
good.
Drew are excellent
Like top
talkers.
notch. Why I came back, the fans for the fans.
Yes, that's right. This is gonna like YouTube's gonna have to like get another server for this one.
I know. Honestly, that's what I was thinking too. It's gonna be crazy. No, it was funny. I was talking about it at work because there is a girl at work who actually has a legit podcast.
Oh,
And so they were, and then I was like, oh yeah, does anybody know anything about the movie Cats? I'm being forced to watch it. And they were oh my God, Mia, do you have a YouTube show? And I was like, do not watch it. No, I don't. I don't.
well, now you do.
But now I do. But now I guess I'm a returned guest. So I think yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very great. I've been looking forward to it. Even though I'm feeling guilt, I've been looking forward to it.
Did you rewatch it? So I
Oh
thought
yeah.
that you had seen it before, and then did you rewatch it over the past couple weeks?
So I watched it. I didn't get to see it opening weekend because we were out of town, but I went to see it like the weekend after opening weekend because I was
In
worried that.
theaters?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah. It was great. I was looking forward to it.
Oh my God.
What do you mean in theaters?
Just you spent money to go see it.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah. It
just
was.
blows my mind.
I was super excited when it was getting such horrible reviews and we were going out of town opening weekend. I was worried that like it was gonna leave theaters before I got a chance to see it. But
Have they ever done that? A movie just sucked so hard that they just took it out of the box office?
there must be movies that they kill like after a week. Like if
Yeah, that they're just this isn't even worth our time.
yeah, yeah, and I think if people weren't like spite watching cats, I have a feeling they would have done that as well.
I I didn't do any reading about it beforehand. I didn't do any reading about it afterwards, but during, God bless him, Tom watched it with me. And
Props to Tom.
during he's I think he said that they lost millions of dollars on it.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
It looked like really expensive to make. Like all that CGI, it couldn't
Aside
have been
from that,
cheap.
the celebrities that they had to pay, I didn't learn a single person's name throughout the entire movie. I know that actually that's not true. I know the main character's name was Victoria, but aside from that, I just referred to everybody as their actor name. And I was like, what's Judi Dench doing with Jason Derulo?
Yes, and I don't even know what like I'm gonna mangle this. Is it Jason Derulia? Derula? How do you say his name?
Jason Derulo.
Jason Derulo. Okay.
Mhm.
When he came on, I was like, I don't know who this is, but he looks really famous.
He is really famous. Is this similar to where you he's, I know that you've been listening to hip hop more recently.
Yes, yes.
He's kind of more poppy, but he leans into it sometimes. Have you listened to Jason Derulo?
I don't think so. And when he came
Okay.
on, so I rewatched it last night, and when he came on, I was like, is this a rapper that I should know about? Like the voice doesn't sound familiar to me, and like you can't really tell when they're wearing like all
Yeah.
that stuff. But I was like, he must be somebody important, and that's when I had to check IMDb, and I was like, oh, Jason Derulo.
Derulo.
Derulo. Derulo.
Derulo.
Yes. So what does he sing that I would have heard?
Um, what does he sing? I don't know. He's really TikTok famous right now. He kind of reinvented his career on TikTok. I'm trying to
Okay.
think of like an older song that he sang. Um, he always announces his name before every song. He's like Jason Derulo. Um,
Nice. You got to get your name
none
out there.
come to the top of my head. I'm sure that somebody watching this is going to give me shit for it later, but there's a lot of pressure right now. I just can't think of any Jason Derulo songs. What does
I totally understand. I totally understand. The when the preview
I don't
came
know.
out, I thought Taylor Swift was going to be like the main person.
I thought she was too. She was in a scene.
Yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah,
it.
yeah. When the Victoria Cat comes out, I'm like, oh, Taylor Swift's doing like a pretty good job, and then she's doing all this dancing and everything, and then I was
But
like,
like
I
that's not
don't
Taylor
think
Swift.
that's, yeah, yeah,
Tom had the same reaction. Tom was like, "That's Taylor Swift," and I was like, "It's not Taylor Swift." I was like, "She's a much better dancer than Taylor Swift could have
yeah.
ever been." I will say, because we're gonna get into it, but I will say, I hated everything, except the only thing that I could really appreciate was the dancing and the fact that the main characters were legit ballerinas and just like professional dancers. And
Yes.
even just the rest of the cast, like the backup dancers and stuff like that, like the choreography was really wonderful. And I think that had I been watching it like on a stage without them being cats, like I
Yeah.
would have wound up really loving that aspect of it. I felt like I could really appreciate that part. There was a tap dancing scene, which like
Hmm.
was really cool. But aside from that, like that was the one thing. And Tom was like, I can't even appreciate that part of the movie. I
So
was like,
background, you have been a dancer for like forever since you've been like
forever. Since
one,
I was like
two.
4, 2, in the womb, probably just tap dancing. Yeah, I've been dancing for forever. So, and
That's
then
awesome.
like
I
that.
like I wasn't even thinking about you being a dancer when suggesting this, but that was sort of the thing that stood out to me too. Was like I think a lot of time, like I like watching plays, and a lot of
Yeah.
times the dancing feels like it's just sort of like in the background and like not
Yeah.
really like it's just sort of there. And in this, it was like, oh, those people are messing around. Like,
They're like legit, like they were legit dancers, and like the technique was really beautiful. And I like do think that they told, I don't know what story, but they told a story well. Like it really,
well, it's the story about ritual suicide of a cat to
so
become
that's
be
okay.
reincarnated.
So let's go over the plot, because
Yeah.
I texted you while I was watching it, and I said, what did I even say? I just said, I halfway through, and I don't even know what the plot is, and you were
Yeah.
like, how dare you suggest that there's even a plot to this
Yes.
whole
Yes.
thing? And I left it like barely understanding what happened, but what I got away from it was and we did read some of the reviews, and someone was like, it's just a movie of introductions. And so
Yes.
that's what I got. It's just like everybody's introducing each other. There's Judi Dench has to choose a Jellicle cat.
Yeah.
Jennifer Hudson is a sad cat that everybody hates because she was famous and then she's not anymore.
So I think her character. So yes, she used to be like a big. She used to be like super famous. She was like the world's famousest cat, I guess. And
Yeah,
then as she became older, fell out of favor and maybe was a cat hooker for a while.
gotcha. I
And now
missed it.
she's.
I missed that part.
I don't know if that's in the text or the subtext, or if I may have just made that up. Also, I'm not
Okay.
totally sure. That's in my imagination. That's what happened.
That's
Is
what happened, and then everybody just lost all respect for Jennifer Hudson, and
yeah.
then she winds up singing for her life,
Well, she's singing.
for
To,
another life.
yes. Yes.
And that's so what I was wondering is, like, are they literally sending these cats to their death? Or, I mean, she got into a hot air balloon, and
Yeah.
realistically the hot air balloon has to land somewhere. So is she just like literally like putting her on like just a plane essentially and sending her to another city where she can start her new life as a new cat? Like that's what I thought. Like at the end of it, I was like, she's just gonna land somewhere else, and that's how she gets to
So
start her new life.
that's a good. I had not thought of it like that. I had thought of it as we're gonna put this cat like in a balloon, and it's gonna like go burn up in the atmosphere. And if like she
And
doesn't,
burn.
yeah, yeah, she'll either burn or she'll fall to the ground and die. Like
That's true.
I didn't really
Yeah, see,
think
that's
about
what
it
I was
having a
thinking
safe.
too. But I was like, she's in a hot air balloon. She could just land peacefully, and then And I
how
don't
do hot
know.
air balloons work? Like, if you don't like, I assume she doesn't know how to operate a hot air
I
balloon.
assume
So
there
would it
weren't
just
many
keep going up,
mechanics
or
of
would
the
it?
hot air balloon within it either. It didn't look like a traditional one. It was more like a balloon in a basket.
Yeah,
So maybe she does just explode or
I
just
don't
fall to her death at one point.
I don't know which would be better. I feel like if she like had a happy like I don't know, like if she just lands in another city, why can't they just let all the cats do that? And I guess why can't they just kill all the cats as well? That's another.
Yeah, why can't they either run away or just go up and kill themselves? Like
Yeah,
why is one person the chosen one? I guess that's the thing that I didn't understand is why one person is being chosen
yeah,
to go to
yeah.
this sacred place by Judi Dench.
I mean, that makes me think it's more of like just like a little like cat cult. Like the Jellicles are a cult of
Of just yeah.
death cats.
It's just some other place that they would love to go and nobody really knows what it is and it's just
Yeah,
mysterious but cool because you get a new life.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Who is
thought
your
that
favorite cat?
um, that's really hard because I didn't like any of them. Um, I have to say I really liked Victoria. Like I thought that she
Yeah,
was like she's a beautiful dancer. I thought that she was really sweet. I thought that she acted really well.
yeah,
Um, I think that she was my favorite, just and purely from the dancing aspect too. Like I thought she was amazing.
yeah.
So I think she
I
was my
think
favorite.
when I read her like background, I think like you were saying, like they're all like really good dancers, and I think she is actually like a ballerina
She
before
is, yeah.
being an actor. Okay, okay,
Yeah, yeah. You see like pictures of her on stage and stuff like that. She's like a legit like prima ballerina, like amazing professional dancer.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
So did you besides the dancing, did you enjoy any of it?
That's really hard.
Yeah, yeah,
No, no, I didn't. Because here's the thing, like, I feel like it was something that these actors or the producers or whoever they thought it was just going to be so amazing. And I felt like the actors were really just 100% going hard. And I
yeah,
feel like it's one of those things like they were amazing at acting. And that's why it was so horrible, just because it was like so cringy that they're putting their all into something that wound up being so horrible.
yeah,
And so like it
yeah,
wasn't even like wow they're terribly acting, like they weren't terribly acting or terribly dancing or terribly singing. It was just horrible, like just the CGI and everything. And I think that when you're in those kinds of like you don't know, they don't know what it's going to
yeah,
look like at the end of it. They don't know that they're going to look like freaky cats and like I don't know like what
yeah.
that's going to all end up being. So they really that's what's so hard is they really put their all into it and it still sucked, like just so
Yes,
cringy and there's a line like when you're I feel like for actors as a non-actor watching it between like amazing and just so cringy,
yeah, yeah. That
and it was the cringy side of it.
there were parts where, and like I totally agree. Like the actors were great, and they were like 100% in it. And the guy, I forget his name, the guy that was playing like the theater cat when he's doing like a stage thing, and there's
Oh
like
yeah.
lightning, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
he's so good in this. And then like you'll see his tail like come up like a snake
And
and
you're
look
like
around, and it's like,
damn
oh,
it,
like
why?
they just ruined it all with that weird tail.
I know. I think that we read one review and it was like I hated this movie, but like what really did it for me was when Idris Elba like came out with no clothes on and he was just a cat, and I was like, oh my god, that part it's like they made everybody with cat fur and then they put him in a panther suit,
Yeah,
and I was so uncomfortable that I was
yeah,
like, what
yeah.
is happening? It was so weird. That and then the one other thing that I noticed was some of the proportions were really off. And I
Oh
don't know if
yeah,
that's like a stylistic choice or if they did that on purpose, but like sometimes like when the cats were on the railroad, they were way too like small to be
yeah,
cats.
yeah. I agree. I had heard that review before going in and seeing the movie. And when I watched it in the theater, I was like, I don't really care. Like, it's all magical. The proportions are fine. And then when I rewatched it last night, I was like, oof. Especially that like railway scene. Like, they're like the size of like mice.
Yeah, the railway scene. And then that's the other thing. Whenever there were actual mice in it, the mice were like they were like
Yeah.
the size of bugs.
Yeah.
And I was like, but they're supposed to be like, I mean, realistically, like a cat is this big and a mouse is this big. Like they're not
Yeah.
that far off, and they made them look like the size of the cockroaches, which that was a whole scene that was just like so disturbing where
I
Regulus
really like that cockroach
cockroaches.
scene. That whole thing, I was like, this is right up my alley with the it was awful and cringy, but I really enjoyed it.
Did you actually like appreciate the movie and enjoy it, or for you was it like so bad that it was entertaining? Like I'm curious.
That's a good question. I would say it's a little bit of both. Like,
Okay.
part of me was like, it was getting such bad reviews. Like, the reviews
Yeah.
were so awful. Part of me was like, no matter what happens, I'm gonna like this movie like more than the reviews are saying. Like, no matter what, there's gonna be part of
Yeah.
me that enjoys it. And I really liked the music. I really liked the dancing. Um, and all the actors did like an awesome job. And like just those three things alone made me enjoy it. So like I won't say that like I loved it rewatching it, but I like the music. It was fine. It was a fun time.
I told Tom I think I would have almost because I've never seen the musical, and I
Mhm.
felt like it's one of those things that, like, no offense, theater nerds, but like I felt like it was something that like theater geeks really appreciated, and like really like they love Cats, but I feel like that's such a small subsection of people who like really appreciate the original musical to even like the
Yeah,
movie, that like I
yeah,
would have almost preferred just watching the musical like on the stage where they're wearing cheesy cat costumes and it's like a set. Like I think I would have preferred that over the CGI nightmare. Like I think I could
yes,
have maybe appreciated it a little bit more, but it's just so odd. Like there's so many amazing musicals out there, and for them to choose this one, I was just like, why? Like Wicked's
yes.
amazing. I love that one. And I know that they have turned a couple of them into movies. I was just like, from beginning to end, it was like, what is happening? The whole
Yes.
time, I was just so confused until the very end. And I was like, I think that Judy Dench is going to send Jennifer Hudson into wherever, and she's going to go. And
Yeah.
I didn't know where they got their magic from. They never really, like, certain people are magical, other people aren't.
And I think that was made up for the movie. I do not think there was
Oh,
any
really?
actual magic in the play. Like,
Okay.
I could be wrong there, but like
Yeah.
the magician cat, like in the play, his magic trick is that he has kittens. So like he's actually a female cat the whole time. Like that's the magic, not he can teleport cats around. Like that was not.
Did I miss that?
They just dropped it. They didn't even put it in the in the movie.
Oh,
Like there's a lyric about it. Like and maybe I don't know. Maybe he like pulls cats out of the ether. But yeah, in the play, it's oh surprise! I made a bunch of cats because I'm not a Mister. I'm a Mrs.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. But apparently
Okay.
that wasn't interesting enough for this movie. They were just like, nah, he's an actual cat magician.
Gotcha. Well, not the only thing I didn't understand because there was a lot. But when Idris Elba took everybody to the barge, like he was taking away the other contestants to the barge, and then
Yeah,
they brought back Judy Dench, but then all the other cats also wound up coming back.
yeah, yeah.
How?
No idea.
Did I
That's
miss
I do
that
not.
part?
I don't think that was in the play either.
I am telling you too, like I really wanted to be able to have like good conversation. And so I legit was not on my phone the whole time. I was watching it. And so like legit when I got halfway through and I was like, all they have done is introduce people, I was like, what are they gonna do the rest of the movie? Like
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
so confused.
There's no real plot to it. Like in the theater version, which this stuck pretty close to, it's just like they introduce a bunch of cats and then they pick one to go
To,
away. Like
to just
and so the movie like added the plot bits with all this magic stuff and the Idris Elba's character. I'm still not even sure what he was doing in there, but that all that stuff on the barge and all that
he was
that
just
was
like
made up for the
a
movie.
rant, like an unnecessary bad guy, I felt
Yeah,
like. He and I get what he was trying to do, but like it just wasn't enough. Like it
yeah,
wasn't dramatic enough for him to be, if people can just bring him back, like, and where was the barge? They never really like they don't discuss it.
yeah.
Like, they don't discuss anything but the fact that they're cats.
Yeah,
And there was like the one memory song. Tom was like, "Oh, I recognize that song." And I was like, "It's from this. Like, this
yeah.
is the only song that you'll know from it. The other stuff, I think the Jellicle Cat song, they must have had to say Jellicle Cat's like 30, 100 times, like
Oh
just
yeah,
ridiculous."
yeah. They're just like screaming it on repeat. It's,
I was like, I think they're Jellicle cats. And then I was like, but what even, I was thought that I was, because I'm not a cat person to begin with. I'm a dog person. So I was like, is that a species of cat? And so Tom's looking it up. He's like doing all the, Googling during this. And he's like, no, no, it was made up for the movie.
yeah, yeah.
How do you expect me to follow?
There's I would say like if you hadn't seen, first off, like if you've never seen the theater version, or at least if you didn't know the music, like watching the movie is going to be completely useless. Like,
Yep, that was me. It was me. I had never seen it before. Have you seen it like on the stage, or did you like watch it like just a recording of it, or?
I saw it with I saw a traveling version of it in, I guess I was in middle school or high school. Like my mom really liked watching musicals, so we would go see. We saw a pretty fair amount of musicals, like in my youth.
Your
So I
youth.
yes, so I'd seen it there and definitely listened to the soundtrack like a fair amount before watching the movie. And like I won't say Cats is like a soundtrack that I just like, oh, let me just sit down and
Like
listen to
pop in.
Cats. But I've heard it enough to like know all the musical numbers, at least to like a mid-level degree, I would say.
Gotcha. Yeah,
So
I
like
did. I was the lowest level you could have possibly been. I just went in, just cold, just not knowing what to expect. I didn't know the plot. I never heard the songs. I apparently have heard the memory song.
well,
I
I'm
don't know
glad that
where.
I think that makes for much better conversation. So I appreciate you wasting 2 hours. It was
I'm
also
telling
very
you,
long.
like, I'm not saying I wanted it to be longer because God no, but like I really just wish that they did so much explaining without explaining anything at all
Yeah.
somehow. And
Yes.
it was just so odd. Just oh my gosh, I just
Yeah, I totally agree. Like they're introducing everybody, but you still never really find out anything about them or
you know
what they're
and
doing. Is
like what's the point of introducing the other cats if they don't even matter too, like the two brother and sister cat, I guess
oh
that they
yeah,
were, when they go and wreck the house. And I mean, it was like
yeah,
a nice scene. I get it, they're cats, they push stuff over, that's fine. But then they like nothing else happened with them until they were with Taylor Swift, and then Taylor Swift was catnipping everybody so Idris Elba could take Judy Dench away.
yeah.
And then like how did they were just making this cat, like why do we need a song about who they were, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I have no idea. I did not like the Taylor Swift scene. Like that was just weird. The fact that she was on that weird the moon or whatever, I didn't like that.
Yeah,
I didn't like all the catnip knocking everybody out. I was just like, oh,
yeah,
this just feels
it seems,
gross.
yeah, it was just that.
Yes, yes. When I started watching it last night, I was going in thinking that I was gonna really enjoy it again, and like the very first like they like start blaring that synth score at you, and I was like, ooh, this like it just sort of like sets you up for feeling not happy through the
Yeah,
whole thing. It's like, oh,
it's
maybe
just
I've made a huge mistake.
yeah, that's exactly what I thought the first 5 seconds of it. This has been a big mistake. Why did I not tell Drew to watch a different movie? But you know what? I'm like happy that I have seen it to be able to shit on it.
Yes,
It's
yes.
just
Now you can give it a good critique when people are making fun of it. You can be like, oh, I can make fun of it,
what
and I've actually seen it and know the pieces.
I actually watched it. I took the 2 hours to watch it. And there apparently like there's a like misconception that this movie is actually longer than it is. Because I also thought that as well. I was like, I'm gonna have to sit through like a 3 hour movie. Like I think that people were expecting it to be longer. And then once I actually got into it, I was like, it's a normal length movie.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
fine. Did I need it to be that long? No.
yeah,
Did I
yeah.
want to watch it ever again? No. But it wasn't 3 hours long, and I can appreciate that.
This was one of the few. I had to get a popcorn refill in the middle of the movie. It was like going on, and when I get to I roughly like knew the beats of the movie or whatever, and they finally got to one scene that was like intermission-ish time, usually like in the play, and I'm like,
Mhm.
man, like I've been sitting here like a long time. I got to get up and
Yeah.
get some more popcorn. And
Yeah,
it also gave me
I wish I took a break.
when now we always get like pre-assigned seats or whatever when we go to the theater. So I was
Mhm.
hoping, and I went at like 11 in the morning one day. So I was hoping it was just going to be like me in the theater. And I got there and it was just me. And then like right before the movie started, like a family of like 7 or 8 came in and they had the seats like right next to me. So it
Are
was
you
like,
serious?
yeah, yeah. So I'm just like sitting there and they're probably thinking like, who's this creepy old guy coming to like an 11 a.m. showing of Cats that we now have to sit next to? And but the popcorn gave me an opportunity to like move over a couple seats because that
Yeah.
was I didn't want to just be like,
But like of the whole theater though,
yeah,
when you pick your seat, you can see who's next to you. I
yeah,
imagine you didn't choose to sit right next to a full family. Like
no, no.
they
When I
must
picked
have had to
mine, there
know
were
that you were there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was very, very bizarre, and I did not like that.
Yeah, but you know what? I will say the one thing that I did I liked the fact too that I felt like there wasn't like scenes, like there's like usually scenes. It did feel like it was very just continuous. Like it was
It's
just like
true.
all that one night. Like it really did like play out like it was just like one shot almost. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like that I
yeah,
kind of thought was cool. I
yeah,
like that it didn't like fade in and out and then you saw like other, you know what I mean? Like it was just
yeah.
like, oh, you're just like following them through the city. I noticed that. And I did kind of like that part about it.
That's a good point. I hadn't even thought about that, but it does like it really flows, and they go to a bunch of different spots, like all over fake London or
Oh
fake
my
cat
God.
London or whatever.
I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't realize that everybody was British until Jason Derulo had a fake British accent. And I was like, are they in London? Like, is this a British thing? I didn't realize it because his accent was so weird that like it was normal for me to hear everybody else until he spoke. And I was like, wait a second. Like, I didn't even notice that they were in London until he started talking in a horrible accent. I was like, oh my God.
I had assumed that he was not using an accent. That was his actual
That is no, that is not the case. That is not.
interesting. See, I didn't know that either, and I didn't even really put it together that they all had British accents. Beside, Rebel Wilson is British, right?
Rebel Wilson is British, yeah.
Okay, okay.
And
Yeah, I
James
assumed they were just
Corden,
using. Yeah, what is he from? Like,
like a late night show.
okay,
He has,
okay.
yeah, he's got
I've
like a,
never.
yeah, he does a lot of like videos on Facebook that like where he will like run into the street, do like a mini musical with a famous person, and then run back off the street. Like he does a lot of, he does like carpool karaoke. I don't know if you've ever seen any of those, but he
I have
started.
seen those. I've seen the stills of them.
Yeah, he started it. He started the carpool karaoke stuff.
Okay.
So he's usually very funny. I don't dislike that was the thing. I didn't dislike any of the characters. I didn't dislike any of the actors. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
they're all great actors, minus Rebel Wilson. I'm not her biggest fan. But
Yeah.
but everybody else like was, they're great, and that's why it's so sad that this like did so poorly. It was just because they thought that this was going to be so good. Like I remember Taylor Swift was like hyped to be a cat. She's such a cat person. She was like, this is the dream. All these people were like, we're going to make this so amazing, and they was just like, do they even like claim that they were in this movie anymore? Because I feel like
Yeah.
just I
No,
would be so incredibly embarrassed.
yeah. Yeah. When the first preview for it came out, uh, I got very excited because it looked like a train wreck. Like, like
You
I don't
and
understand.
I remember like I saw it too, and I was like, oh no,
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Like usually, like trailers are good and like make you want to see the movie, and then this made me want to see it, but I guess for different reasons than
for
usual.
different reasons. You're like, I
Yeah.
cannot wait to see how poorly this is, like how
Yes.
poorly done this is. But I
Yes.
think that's the thing. Like it could have been cool. I feel like it had the potential, but it just wasn't it because I think that the director of it, he's done like Les Mis and he's
Yep.
done like a lot of other really amazing things. And
Yeah.
so
The
we were
King's
like
Speech.
reading his stuff and we were like, this guy is fantastic. What the heck is he doing cats?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's real
I
people.
I think I don't know. I guess people. I guess like people's success maybe goes to their head or something. And he thought like after and Les Mis didn't get like great reviews either, which I really liked Les Mis. Like
I've
not
never
as
heard
a
anybody dislike it. I feel like it's one of those movies where like the critics' reviews might be
yeah.
bad, but everybody loves it.
That's good then. I'm very glad to hear that. Leela hates it because I'm singing it all the time whenever I watch it, so she has almost strangled me at several points. But
That's
maybe that's
I
where,
think that you and Tom need to meet. He sings Les Mis all the time, and I'm probably putting him on blast a little bit. He probably doesn't even care. He's very proud of it. Him and his brothers, because we play, Apex Legends online. We'll be playing video games together, and they know. I think they know one song together, both of them. It's a moment.
that
Yep.
is amazing. I can't wait till we can all get together after the world, everybody dies from everything that's going on.
I know. A little political plug. I'm just so excited that Joe Biden won. And I remember you texting
Yes.
me, you said as horrible as this weekend was because I had to watch the Cats movie. Joe Biden winning did perk it up just a little bit. That was really great. But I'm hoping, having said that, that there's going to be a plan put in place soon
Yes.
that maybe could diminish this a little bit more, so that we can actually be friends in real life
Yes.
again.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, when we went out to eat lunch yesterday, like, and like as soon as we left, that's when all the news stations started calling it.
Uh-huh.
So we were like, we probably found out like an hour later than everybody did. But on the way home, I was looking at Facebook, frantically liking every Joe Biden post, and I saw your meme about the cat. Like, and I was like, that sums up everything like perfectly.
I
Like
know, like
that's
I thought it was so. I literally was like. Well, because like I feel like at that point, because I was driving home and I had gotten like a notification on my phone that they had called it, and it was like almost like a little bit like, am I being punked? You know what I mean? Like it was because like
yes,
it had taken so long from Tuesday that at that point I was like just like not impressed. I was like, I was excited, I was happy, but at the same time, I was like, but what comes next? You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
he's gonna fight it. Like it's just gonna be like,
yeah,
a little bit sketchy for a time period. So I was like, cool. Like and then once I was like, is this real? Like, am I able to post like something exciting about it? And then
yeah,
that's when I saw everybody else's, and I was like, okay, this is legit. Like
yes,
I can just
yes.
relax a little bit.
Yes. When Leela got the text about it, we were still at the restaurant, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be amazing. Let me pull up Twitter, and like everybody's just going to be like roasting Trump, and it's going to be
Yeah,
amazing." And I opened it up, and it was like every tweet. There were definitely Trump roasts in there, but people were being like so positive, like
yeah.
about everything. It made me like very hopeful.
And I was thinking that too, but also I remembered that I unfollowed many, many Trumpians. So
Yes, yes,
for a couple of visits, so I was like, is everybody positive or am I just not seeing the negative stuff because I have taken it off of my feed completely? But either
yes,
way, I was very excited. I think
yes,
first female vice president, very cool, as much as I'm not. And that's the thing. I'm not like, I feel like nobody's really excited about Joe Biden as much as people would have been for Trump. Like, we're not just like,
yeah,
yeah, like, but I'm
yeah,
hoping that he's going to do some good. And that's all I can hope for is
yes.
just a little bit of good. So
Like if he can just not do everything that Trump did for the last
if
four
he could
years.
just, that's what I'm saying. Like he doesn't even have to do much. If he could just not do the ridiculous stuff like that,
Yes.
that's great. I want to, Tom and I talking about like, I don't want to have to be like checking the news every day for what crazy shit the president is saying that
Yes.
day. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
very stressful. And
Yes.
so
Like
I just, uh, it's gotten me more into paying attention. Like I do think that we should be holding Joe Biden accountable.
mhm.
I think that that's what's changed in this kind of. But there are days where I don't want to have to think about what he's
Yes.
doing,
Yes.
and
That's
I'm excited about that.
I'm excited for like all of that mental energy that like has just been there like every day, like building up of oh God, like what's gonna happen? Like what?
Like what could I remember like when he first got elected way back when, and it was like every day there was like something new, and I was like, surely this is gonna die down, but then it didn't for
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah.
Every day you could have said something over the past 4 years about what Trump did or tweeted or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't want to care that much. I don't want to care that much about the president's day to day. Like I care about the big stuff. I care about my lives, my community's lives. I want
Yeah.
I want that, but do I care if he's like shitting on Chrissy Teigen? No, I don't want to know those things. I
Yeah,
want to be able to
like
let him do his job.
he almost died like 4 weeks ago of COVID, and that's like old news now. Like,
I know. Everything is old news, and that's what blows my mind. Like, if Barack Obama like did if any president had done, if anybody, any person on the planet had done the amount of things that he did, but there's just so many of it that just
yeah,
happens all the time that you just forget. Like he had COVID, like
yeah,
there was a Muslim ban, like there's just so many things that have, and I'm just like, and then people remind you like of everything that he's done. Like, oh my God, like
yeah,
how do we
yeah,
all just
yeah,
forget about these things?
yeah. It's like tax returns, being racist, like all this stuff. Just it just every day is something else. And
Like we're
now,
all just desensitized to that kind of stuff just because it's just like it's been information overload. It's just been too much. I can't remember all the horrible things he's done because it's just so much.
yes, yes, absolutely. Um,
Anyway,
I do have a new segment that I would like to do with you since we're
okay,
done talking about cats. Uh, I don't know how this will go, but
okay,
it's going to be called Ask a Youngster because you
okay.
are a young person,
Oh my
and
God,
they're
thank you.
you're welcome. I'm I'm glad I can point that out for you.
No, because I'm 24, and so I keep telling Tom, mainly because he's the only person I talk to these days, that I'm in my early 20s, and he's like, no, you're in your mid 20s because there's early, mid, and I claim that I am in my early 20s. I will be mid 20 when I'm 25, the
Yep,
mid
yep, that is
and
exactly in the
then
middle.
and then it's late 20s. And so,
Yeah.
being called young, that makes me think I'm in my early 20s still.
Well, I'm happy that
Okay.
it does that. So I have a funny question and a serious one. Which one would
Okay.
you like first?
Serious one.
So the serious one is so like everybody's not everybody, but I'm noticing a lot of people put their pronouns in their Zoom handle now.
Mm-hmm.
So it would say like Drew Stennett, he, him, or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And at first I was like, I don't care about that at all. Like people can call me whatever they want. Like
Yeah.
it makes no difference to me. Like, and I also have a feel like when I see people put that in that are like obviously not transgender, I have this
Yeah.
like thought of like, dude, yeah, like we know, like
We
why do you
know.
have to?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then someone else pointed out like the opposite side of that is like if everybody did it, then it would make it easier for the people that are transgender or
Yep.
whatever. So I was curious what your thoughts were on putting pronouns in your, I will say
So
Zoom
that's
tags.
exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say that, if everybody's doing it, then it does normalize it for those, who are wanting to put it in theirs.
Yeah.
I personally don't, because for me, it's obvious. I feel like I'm her,
Yeah.
she, those are mine. I do
Yeah.
remember actually one time, asking somebody, because when I worked as a recruiter, their name on their resume was different than when we ran the background check. And I said,
Huh.
what are your preferred pronouns? And they were
Yeah.
the opposite of what, they were on their resume or on their, birth certificate. So I think just being like cool with people
Yeah.
having it on their Zoom is enough, and being accepting of it, not shaming somebody for having it. But I
Okay.
don't feel like we're at the point where we need to have everybody do it. I don't feel like anybody's really like, oh, how dare like Drew be putting his you know what I mean? Like if
Right.
you identified as something else, or you wanted to, if you were they them, um, I just don't think that it's not as big of an issue. And I feel
Okay.
like just from what I have heard from other people who identify as like they them, or just different pronouns, it hasn't. I don't think it's been just highly controversial. I think that it's just something that most people are like, oh, okay, at
Okay.
least in my circle. So, yeah,
That
I guess I don't really have that big of an opinion on it.
well, that's good to know. I appreciate it because like part of me feels like, well, should I have been doing this like all along? Like, does it matter? Is it, you know, I don't want to offend anybody. I want everybody to
Yeah,
be
I
happy.
know. I feel the same way. And I don't think people, and that's the thing. I never feel like, people who identify like that I never feel like they're offended by other people, um, not doing it. They're just like, I would rather you be accepting if I do. And so I think
Okay.
that that's just the biggest thing. It's just maybe not, in my opinion, just not making it a big thing, just saying, oh, that's what they prefer, and respecting that, and calling them by what they prefer. I think that that's the biggest thing too, is not, and if you do slip up, to say, oh, my bad, like, and then just kind of move forward with it, and just not to make it a big deal. I feel like that also normalizes things.
Okay. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. What's your funny question?
Funny question is, what's the deal with Instagram stories?
Okay. What do you mean?
Like,
There's so much to dive into.
so I'm used to Instagram where like you put a picture up,
Uh-huh.
uh, and then like that's it. But now I notice a lot of people like using stories where you put uh, I guess it's like a temporary, like it stays up for
Mhm.
24 hours or something. Like, what's up with that? What's the why do people use stories instead of pictures and like vice versa?
Okay. So my opinion, because I think there's so many silly stories. I think that there's like just some people that just like love to just put too much out there about themselves. For me, it's like when you put something on your story, it's because you don't want it to be on your permanent timeline. Like
Okay.
yesterday, I posted like a picture of my pins. I put that on my story, like I got a new pin.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't necessarily want that to be like on my feed. You know what I mean? So I'm just like, oh,
Okay.
it's just a good way for people to see what you're up to day instead of
Okay.
posting a new post all the time. I do think it's
Okay.
stupid when people do like vlogs, like, and there's like 50 million, and they're just talking into their phone, like it's just 30 videos consecutively. I'm just like, what are you doing? Nobody cares that much about you.
Yes. Yes. I don't
But
think I follow anybody like that. For the most part, I see
yeah,
pictures, but I have noticed like it seems like more people are doing the stories, and I was
it's more for day to day, at least for
okay.
me. I feel like that's, and I feel like for most people too, like you'll post on your, like I post on my feed, like if Tom and I go on a date night, or if you go to a wedding, or you do something a little bit more major, and then
Yeah.
like your day to day, you want to take a picture of your food, or you don't want your feed to show your food, because that's not cool. Some people have timeline aesthetics, and so some people
Interesting.
only post certain content or certain types of stuff, but they still want to show it off to people. So they just put it in their stories.
Okay. Well, that is
Yeah.
very interesting. I did not
It
realize that.
wasn't as
So,
funny, Drew. That was more just topical.
um, I don't have any funny ones then. That was like super funny in my head. It's like, what's the deal? It's like
What's
Seinfeld.
the deal with
Yes.
I
Yes.
am curious though what you're rating. I think that we rated My Cousin Vinny last time. What was your rating of Cats?
So I give Cats a solid 4 out of 5 stars, which would
Wow.
equate to 8 out of 10. Yeah, yeah, 8 out of 10 or 4 out of 5.
You give it that high?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
Oh my
I
Drew.
understand like why it's like I understand like why people would not like it. Like
Yeah.
obviously, like it's super cringy, but I like the music, I like the dancing. I will probably watch it again,
Don't lie
not
to me, Drew. It's
within the
because
next
you're a
couple
theater geek,
months.
right? You're a
Nope,
theater
that's
geek, and that's why.
that definitely
You're
goes
the
into it.
smallest subsection of people who really appreciate this movie.
Yes, yes, yes,
I forgot because
absolutely.
you did drama classes, right? You did stuff in college.
Yep, yep. I majored in theater, and uh, I was in a crime reenactment TV show. This is a
Oh,
highlight of
dude,
my
you
career.
love this. You love this show.
It is. I definitely love some musicals. Like it is.
Don't get me wrong. I love a good musical too, but like I feel like I give this movie like a two. Like I would never watch this movie, nor would I force anybody else to watch it.
I think you liked it. A 2 out of 10 or 2 out of 5.
2 out of 10. A two
That is
out of
really
10.
rough.
It is really rough. It is. I just did not love it. The only thing that's not giving it a zero is the dancing for me.
See, I think that the dancing could have at least bumped it up like to a 4. The dancing and the acting.
But
But
the
I
acting, like
understand.
I said, the acting was so good. It was cringy. Like it just wasn't. It was just right. It was just right there for me, and it just didn't sit well with me. Which also brings me to a good point, because or a good question for you, I guess. So I know that we're like inching close. I cannot believe we talked for this much, but actually I
It
can't
always
believe
goes by super fast. I was looking at the
that. I
clock and I
know.
was like, holy crap.
But Tom and I had this conversation the other day, and it's one of my favorite questions that I like to ask people because I have a movie that is the worst or the best movie that I will never watch again. And it's What Happened to Monday. I don't have you seen that movie? It's on
I've never
Netflix.
heard of that movie. What is that?
Most people have never heard of it. It's based on a book, I believe, but it's on Netflix. And it is, I'm not kidding, one of the best movies that I have ever seen that I will never watch again because the plot line is basically, I won't give away any spoilers, but we're in a post-apocalyptic world and
Hmm.
basically because of like genetically modified foods, like people are having babies at like a ridiculous rate, like like six kids at once. Like instead of like twins, it's like six kids or seven
Yeah.
kids. It's a lot. And so in order to maintain the population, you're only allowed to have like one kid, and anybody else they put in cryo chambers. And then so basically one dad saves his kids and has seven of them, and each of them, because they're twins or they're identical,
Yeah.
they each play a different day of the week. They each go out into the world as a
Uh,
different. So
yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, they're each named by their name, and they
Yeah.
all have different like personas. But it is wild. I This movie, and I the reason I'll not watch it again because it's very gory. It's very actiony. It's very like it just really. But I was so into it when I was watching it that I recommend it to everybody. You have to watch it. It's so
That
good.
I will watch that this weekend. That sounds,
Yeah.
I've never heard. It's on Netflix?
It's on Netflix. It's
Okay.
epic. It is an epic movie, but it was too much for me.
Is it like a recent movie or?
No. It came out probably like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know, but there's plot twist in it. You're like, what, what? You're constantly like, when did that happen? And like, oh my god, and you're like, oh, like you audibly gasp, like it is. So
Yeah.
long story short, so you have a good picture. Is there any movies that were like the best movies, but you'll like never watch them, or you haven't watched them since?
That's a very good question. The one that comes to mind, which I won't say it's the best movie, but Leela's gonna kill me if she hears me talk about this movie. But there's a movie called Serbian Film,
Okay.
which is a horror movie,
Uh
and
huh.
it is like the most graphic, like vile movie that
Ew.
like when I when I turned it off or when I finished watching it, I was like, "Eh, are the police gonna like come in here and arrest me for watching that? Like what 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 is happening?"
What
Like,
happened?
and I won't say I'll never watch it again because like now that when I went in, I had no idea what it was. I just heard like
Yeah.
people were saying like, "Oh, it's this really uh, sort of mind-bendy horror movie," and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll watch that. That sounds good. And just like through the whole thing, I was just like it just and like afterwards, I'm like, oh yeah, of course, like of course none of it's real. Like it's a movie,
Yeah.
like. But just through the whole thing, it just felt very like vile, and I've never felt so dirty like by just watching a movie.
Oh my god. But
And
did you get like you got into it, like you were just like into the storyline, like you were just
yeah, yeah. So I liked it. So I'll give you the plot, which will hopefully not get this banned from YouTube. But the plot is there's a porn actor in Serbia, and he's like an aging porn actor or something. So he gets hired to make a movie where like the movie is people getting killed while he's having sex with them.
Okay.
So like, and it's like a reality movie. So they're just sort of like things are just sort of like happening in his life that make that situation a reality. And he's like slowly like he doesn't know if it's real or if it's not
Oh my
real.
god, yeah.
And it is incredibly like repulsive and vile through the entire thing. And like
I'll never watch it.
I'll give you since you won't watch it, I'll spoil the ending for you. It ends with he kills one of the bad people by driving his own penis through the guy's head.
Oh my god, that's the ending?
That's it. Yeah, that's like the climax of the movie. That's how he's escaping.
Oh god. Yeah, my
Yes.
movie's not quite that intense. But that sounds horrible.
It was very awful, and like the and again, like I didn't know what I was getting into when I sat down to watch it, and like now I
Yeah.
think back on it, and I was like, that is sort of like, I think if I would have just like embraced the weirdness of it, I feel like I
Yeah.
would have not felt so like
Horrible.
disgusting. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's what comes to mind when I think about movies that I'll
Okay.
probably never watch.
But that's how, I mean, not as horrible as that, but that's how I feel about what happened to Monday. Is pretty much it's just like I was so like I could really appreciate the movie for what it was, and it was just really excellent. And like I said, the plot twists are ridiculous, but it was so gory. Like at one point, no, I don't want to tell you, I don't want to tell you. But
I,
like there's just one part where you're just like, bleh, like it just
that sounds right up my alley, so I'm
and I
very
watched it
excited.
like this half the time. I remember I watched it with one of my exes at the time, and he was just like, yeah, let's just see what happens. Like, and I remember like watching it just like and like peeking every now and then. But I'm telling you, whenever I recommend a movie to somebody, like on Netflix, that's the one that I always recommend because it was just
Nice.
like it has an amazing ending, it has amazing story. It's so unique too, which I really love. Like I hate the remakes. I really don't
Yeah,
love like so many remakes. Like I really just want like original storylines. So that's what interests me the most. And I feel like that was just like it's just a unique story, even though it is like post-apocalyptic, but it's really it's
yeah.
cool. So you should watch
That's
it
awesome.
for
I
sure.
will probably watch that after lunch today. So thank
Nice.
you for that
Let
recommendation.
me know
That's
what
going to
you
be awesome.
think. I actually I will I can say the people who have watched this that I recommended it to because I'm like you have to and they've watched it like literally that weekend. They're like that was one of the best movie recommendations I've ever had in my life. So
You're
not to
setting a
brag,
very
but
high bar right
I'm
now.
telling you, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's so good, so
That's
good.
awesome. Well, we are at like right around an hour, so I guess we'll wrap it up
Dang.
on a positive movie recommendation note. I
Yep.
appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you
uh,
for your disturbing not movie recommendation. I will have
well,
nightmares.
and that's not even the worst part of the movie. So
Okay. I don't want to know the worst part of the movie.
I'm going to stop recording real